Hello friends, welcome to S. Kumar IAS. So we were studying the series of political science and in particular we will study today J.S. Mill, the remaining part of J.S. Mill. Already we studied before his theory of freedom of speech and expression. So without much delay आज की कथा को start करते हैं. So हम लोगों ने ये देखा था कि हाउ मिल इज क्रिटिसाइज्ड एज prophet of empty liberty by Ernst Barker, and like his concept of pleasure, happiness, and how he tried to revise the Benthamism, utilitarianism. He said the Peter who denied the master, because in the process of modifying liberalism, in order to modify the utilitarianism, he in fact destroys utilitarianism by bringing the qualitative aspect, the tradition of Plato's idealism, and so on. So today we'll study J.S. Mill on freedom of speech and expression. Mill is called as champion of freedom of speech and expression because Mill is advocate of democracy, and that also deliberative democracy in general and deliberative democracy in particular. Freedom of speech and expression are must for deliberative democracy. If you do not give people power to deliberate, then where is the question of deliberative democracy? So in that context, J.S. Mill is the strong supporter of freedom of speech and expression, and he says that freedom of speech and expression is most important freedom, and reflection of personality depends upon the freedom of speech and expression. If you are not allowing a person to speak, his personality will never be reflected, and curbing the will of the individual means dwarfing the personality. That's why J.S. Mill says that no state can become great. No state can become great by dwarfing its own people. By dwarfing its own people. So, he says that only human beings have this most precious gift of God. And what is the most precious gift? The power to deliberate. And this is sacred of all rights. So, like freedom means freedom to act according to one's view as well as forming the associations. It is similar to Article 19 of Indian Constitution. Freedom of speech, expression, assembly, association. So, when it comes to restriction, that is there any restriction on the freedom of speech and expression, or is it absolute? Mill gives the classic formula of harm principle everywhere. Even when he was speaking on utilitarianism, J.S. Mill says the same thing, harm principle. The same harm principle is applied by J.S. Mill here also. And he says that what are the benefits of freedom of speech and expression? He says that objective of life is to understand the truth, and the only way to understand the truth is dialogue, debate, and discussion. You have some dialogue, you do some debate, and you do some discussion, and that's the only way to understand the truth. It is similar to the views of Plato. He says the dialectics, truth is emerged from the dialectics. The dialectic method of Plato, somewhat it is similar to the view of J.S. Mill, although we cannot compare because Plato was not a proponent of democracy. So the context is definitely different, but this view that truth emerges from dialogue, debate, and discussion, that is somewhat similar view. And J.S. Mill says that truth cannot be suppressed, it can only be postponed. But if we postpone the truth, then we are just postponing our journey for truth, nothing else. Because the truth is bound to emerge either today or tomorrow. Then why to delay till tomorrow? If truth has to emerge, let it emerge today. That's why he says that we are just missing the opportunity by postponing the truth. And that's why even the mad person should be allowed to speak, because from where the truth will emerge we really do not know. That's what the that's what the view of J.S. Mill is. And he says that if all but one has a difference of opinion, there is no point suppressing that person. In another way, J.S. Mill says that democracy does not equate to majoritarianism. Democracy is not equal to majoritarianism. And the concept of general will, it is not equal to majoritarianism. General will is a concept given by Rousseau that we'll study in some other class. So he says that democracy is not primarily for majority but for accommodation, and democracy does not mean the tyranny of majority. He basically vouches for, he basically supports accommodation of minority. He says that even one person, if he has dissenting opinion, he or she should be allowed to speak. And we can see Indian Constitution, Article 25 to 30 and 20, these articles are more or less preserving minorities. So what J.S. Mill says on democracy? Well, J.S. Mill is called the champion of democracy, and he says that it is the only form of government who can give protection to the liberty. The best form is direct democracy, but in present times, we cannot avoid the representative democracy, and direct democracy is not possible. So that's why the representative government is the second best according to J.S. Mill. It's not the best, it is just the second best. And he says that excessive participation in election is good only if the people are educated. Mill says that there should be reforms in democracy. And what are the reforms? He suggests that there should be weighted voting. Educated people should get more than one vote. And there should be proportional representation and open ballot. And there should be strengthening of the House of the Lords. Women should have right to vote. And Mill is criticized as reluctant Democrat. Why reluctant Democrat? Because he brings aristocratic element in his theory of democracy. And this is due to the influence of Greek thinkers. We can also see his views, how the truth emerges. It's similar to Plato. And he says that democracy should not be introduced in colonies. Why colonies? That time India and many third world countries were the colonies of Great Britain. So why it should not be democracy should not be introduced in these colonies? He says that benevolent despotism is suitable for barbarians. He says that India and China were great civilization but not at present, and only by struggle people understand value of democracy. If you give them free of cost, they will not value this. And he says that democracy should not be a free gift. But when we see the views of Nehruji and Gandhi, well, Nehru and Gandhi was passionate Democrats. And if we compare them to Mill, we can say that Nehru and Gandhi, they wanted to bring democracy at the door of the people. They believed in common sense of masses. Common sense of masses. And if we see them, if we compare them with Nehru, then we can definitely see that Mill was a reluctant Democrat. And he says that even if democracy is given to India, it will be false democracy because people do not understand its value. And The problem of Mill is that he considers democracy an end in itself and not a means to empower the people. Why? Otherwise, he would have supported democracy in colonies. He would have supported democracy in colonies, but he do not do that. That's why it is said that he just perceived democracy as an end in itself and not a mean to empower the people. This is also criticism of J.S. Mill. And then Mill become the next thing, Mill on subjugation of women. This is the next work on subjugation of women. Like J.S. Mill was almost, since Plato, he was the first scholar who supports feminism so much, so explicitly. And then Mill says that all slavery has ended, but not slavery of women. J.S. Mill says that the subjugation of women is universal. All slavery has ended, but not slavery of women. And he says there is no benefit by confining women within four walls. Why there is no benefit? Because there is a lot of utility if you allow them to work outside. He's a scholar of utilitarianism. This is also proving he is a scholar of utilitarianism. There is a lot of utility. In fact, he says that utility itself is an ethics. Utility is ethical. Why? Because if something is not, something has no utility, then it is unethical. That's why he supports utilitarianism, but he just try to modify that. And he says that what are the utility of allowing women in the public sphere? He says productivity of men will increase. Men will behave in a very civilized manner. So that's what his argument were. And these were the 4 books of J.S. Mill. We saw his views on utilitarianism, on the subjugation of women, on liberty we saw, and considerations on representative government. So that is the second best government according to J.S. Mill. Representative government is not the best form of government as per John Stuart Mill. He says that although it should be deliberative democracy and direct democracy, but if it is not possible, the second best option is the representative government. So that's what the views of John Stuart Mill was. We studied from Plato to J.S. Mill till now, and we hope that you are enjoying our lectures. If you have any question related to any of the scholars, please do ask in the comment box. I will personally answer them. If you want to clarify some point which is not clarified already, please do suggest. We'll definitely do that. If you find these videos useful, please like these videos, please subscribe our channel, and please spread them like a wildfire. Every student cannot afford a coaching in Delhi Mandis. And friends, just work hard and stay connected. We will definitely crack it. We definitely hope that these videos will add values to your preparation. Please watch all the videos from video 1 to the last. Then only it will help you. Thank you so much for coming to S. Kumar's classroom.